The observation deck hummed with quiet anticipation as Commander Vrell adjusted his 4 optical sensors, each pair focusing on different angles of the testing chamber below. 20 cycles he had spent evaluating species for Galactic Council membership, and never once had the humans failed to surprise him, usually in terrible, explosive ways. Begin recording. Vrell clicked to his assistant, a nervous Quillen named Tessa, who kept her tendrils wrapped tightly around her data pad. Test Sequence 7. Danger Assessment Protocol. Below them, 5 humans stood in a white room. Standard procedure. Nothing fancy. The test was simple enough that even a Blornak could pass it, and Blornaks had the collective intelligence of decorative moss. The humans introduced themselves with those bizarre mouth sounds they called names. There was Marcus, built like a cargo hauler. Beth, small but radiating that peculiar human intensity. Kyle, who couldn't seem to stand still. An older male called Vincent. And finally, barely visible behind the others, a young female named Iris. Curious, Vrell murmured, watching Iris position herself at the back of the group. Why does the smallest deliberately choose poor visibility? Tessa's tendrils twitched. Perhaps hierarchical submission? Many species defer to larger specimens. Perhaps. The test administrator's voice crackled through the speakers. Welcome, candidates. Today's evaluation is straightforward. You will face a series of scenarios. Your task is to identify the primary danger in each situation. Speed and accuracy both matter. Do you understand? All 5 humans nodded. Marcus cracked his knuckles, producing a sound that made Vrell's second stomach lurch. Wonderful. The administrator continued with forced enthusiasm. Scenario 1. Beginning now. The room's front wall shimmered, displaying a holographic street scene. A vehicle careened toward a group of pedestrians, sparks flying from its undercarriage, smoke pouring from its engine. Obvious. Painfully obvious. Marcus pointed immediately. The vehicle. Brake failure, maybe steering malfunction. Correct, the administrator confirmed. 8.3 seconds. Adequate. Vrell yawned, showing all 16 of his teeth. Boring. Next, Scenario 2 appeared. A laboratory. Chemicals bubbling. One container cracked, green liquid oozing toward an open flame. Beth's hand shot up. The cracked beaker. It's going to hit that burner and explode. Correct. 5.9 seconds. Improved. 3 more scenarios followed, each more complex than the last. A building with structural damage. A wild animal stalking children. A malfunctioning reactor core. The humans identified each primary threat with increasing speed, competing with each other now, voices overlapping in their eagerness to answer first. This is disappointing, Vrell grumbled, making notes on his own pad. Their pattern recognition is adequate but unremarkable. The Yolan delegation last week performed better. Should we pass them? Tessa asked. Wait for the final scenario. That is when most species reveal their true nature. The final scenario loaded. The room below transformed into what appeared to be a crowded transit station. Hundreds of holographic civilians milled about. Near the center, a suspicious package sat unattended. On the left, 2 individuals argued heatedly, hands gesturing wildly. On the right, a structural support beam showed stress fractures. Above, a climate control unit sparked and smoked. Chaos. Beautiful, calculated chaos. Multiple threat scenario, the administrator announced. Identify the primary danger. Marcus squinted at the package. Could be a bomb. The beam looks unstable, Vincent added, pointing. Kyle watched the arguing figures. Those 2 might escalate to violence. Beth studied the smoking unit overhead. That thing might fall or start a fire. For humans, for different answers. Standard response. Predictable. Vrell prepared to mark them as average when Tessa's tendrils suddenly went rigid. Commander. The 5th one. Iris hadn't moved forward with the others. She remained at the back, absolutely still, her eyes not on the holographic scene at all. She was turned slightly, head tilted, looking at something behind her. No. Not something, someone. What is she doing? Vrell leaned closer to the glass, all 4 eyes focusing on the small human in the corner of the actual physical room. Barely visible in the shadow where the wall met the floor, something moved. Not a hologram. Real. A maintenance drone that should not have been active during testing. Its cleaning appendage was sparking, damaged, and it was rolling directly toward an exposed power conduit. The other humans, completely absorbed in the holographic scenario before them, hadn't noticed the real danger creeping up behind them. But Iris had. She opened her mouth, and time seemed to freeze as Vrell realized exactly what was about to happen. "Down!" Iris screamed, her voice cutting through the observation deck like a pulse blade through butter. The other 4 humans barely had time to process the command before she was moving, diving forward and tackling Beth and Kyle to the ground. Marcus, responding with that terrifying human reflex speed, grabbed Vincent and threw both of them sideways just as the maintenance drone connected with the power conduit. The explosion was not large. Not by human standards, anyway. But the electromagnetic pulse that followed sent every hologram flickering into nonsense. The lights died, and emergency protocols engaged with a shrieking alarm that made Vrell's ear membranes vibrate painfully. Tessa dropped her data pad, tendrils flailing in panic. "Commander, the test. It is ruined." "Silence," Vrell snapped, pressing all 4 eyes against the observation glass. "Look, below." In the emergency lighting that bathed everything in sickly red, the 5 humans were getting to their feet. Smoke drifted from where the drone had been. The air smelled of ozone and burned circuits, even through the supposedly sealed observation deck. The test administrator's voice returned, shaky and confused. Please remain calm. There has been a technical malfunction. We are evacuating the testing area. Proceed to the marked exits." Marcus helped Vincent stand, checking the older man for injuries. Beth and Kyle were already up, brushing themselves off. But all 4 of them turned to look at Iris, who stood apart, breathing hard, her face flushed with that strange color change humans exhibited under stress. "How did you know?" Marcus asked, his voice quiet but carrying clearly through the observation deck's audio sensors. Iris shrugged, a peculiar human gesture Vrell had never quite understood. "I heard it. The scraping sound was wrong. Metal on metal, getting closer." Everyone was so focused on the fake scenario that nobody was paying attention to what was actually happening in the room with us. Vincent laughed, though Vrell detected no humor in it. "We were looking for danger in the simulation while the real danger was right behind us." "Exactly," Iris said softly. "The test was not what we thought it was." Vrell felt his second stomach drop into his third. "By the 7 moons of Kalter." "Commander." Tessa retrieved her data pad with trembling tendrils. "What does this mean?" "It means," Vrell said slowly, pulling back from the glass and reaching for the communication panel, "that we need to reconsider everything we think we know about human threat assessment." He opened a channel to the council chambers, watching as the humans filed out of the testing area below. The young one, Iris, paused at the doorway, looking up directly at the observation deck. She could not possibly see through the mirrored glass. And yet, she smiled. Just slightly. Then she was gone. Council Supervisor Kren, Vrell spoke into the comm unit. "This is Commander Vrell. I am filing an emergency elevation recommendation for the human evaluation." The supervisor's voice crackled back, irritated. "On what grounds?" "Their performance was adequate at best before the equipment failure. Most species would receive a passing grade, but nothing exceptional. With respect, Supervisor, the equipment failure was not a failure. It was the actual test." Silence on the other end. "Then, carefully, explain." Vrell pulled up the recording, isolating the moment when Iris had first reacted. "Every species we have tested focuses on the presented scenario. They analyze the data before them. They compete to identify threats within the parameters we establish. This is logical. This is expected. This is what we want to see. And the humans did this too. 4 of them, anyway. But the 5th one understood something we did not explicitly state. She understood that the real test was not in the simulation we showed them, but in their awareness of their actual surroundings. She was watching for what we were not showing them." More silence. Vrell could practically hear the supervisor's brain processing this information. "You are saying this was intentional paranoia?" "No," Vrell corrected, reviewing the footage again. Iris had not seemed paranoid. She had seemed calmly observant. "I am saying this was multi-layered awareness. The ability to engage with a presented problem while simultaneously maintaining vigilance for unpresented variables. Most species can do one or the other. Humans apparently can do both. That is concerning. That is why they are dangerous, Supervisor. And that is why they will be valuable." Vrell looked down at the empty testing chamber, already being swarmed by repair drones. They do not simply respond to the threats we show them. They look for the threats we do not. Tessa's tendrils had relaxed slightly. Should we run additional tests? No, Vrell decided, closing the recording file. We should approve them. Immediately. Before they start wondering why we are wasting their time with games. Because that was what this had been, really. A game. An evaluation designed by species who had forgotten what it meant to be prey. The humans had not forgotten. Perhaps they never would. And in a galaxy full of dangers both known and unknown, both visible and hidden, that made them either the greatest threat the Council had ever faced or the greatest asset. Vrell suspected it might be both that he watched the repair drones work, thinking about a small human female who had looked backward while everyone else looked forward, and he wondered what else humanity might see that the rest of them kept missing. The thought did not comfort him. But then again, comfort was overrated. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.